Good morning, everybody. Let's get to it. Let's kill the music and let's flip this out. Go here. Retail sales are out. Let's see if it changed everybody's life, and we'll go from there. All right. So everything changed, everything better? No. Let's get to the numbers, see what they had to say. But so far, it doesn't really seem like it's that great, does it? Bum, 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 bum. In line. Okay. Doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. Not really sure why I'd be that concerned about this. We'll see if you're basically in line, which is not the worst thing in the world. A lot of people were worried about it being too strong or too weak. The retail sales, U.S. retail sales are saying month over month actual point was forecasted -2. I have consensus yet -2, and you came in at 1. So that is better than anticipated. Let's flip to this so that you can actually say it. Oh boy, that's a lot of me coming in. Look how bright that light is. That's too much. Way too much. Let's go to this site. We'll use this one because this one's free. So here is the big thing where they're saying -2 versus 1. That's the big outlier, it looks like. Let's see if I can find another reason why they'd be this concerned about it. X eyes, X auto. Auto went up big time. So, and then you dropped. Auto fell off a cliff from last time. Let's see here and see what we're doing. But auto fell off a cliff. Wow. Hold on one second. That's too weird. I think if I shrink it, it'll be better. See how that went. Did that make it better? Yeah, that's better. Cool. So let's go through this. X gas, X autos. That's interesting. I wonder what that did. Yep. Right back to it. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's doing that. Right back over. And then you can just say, and then you're taking off. You're doing pretty well here. Let's go take a look at this on a weekly. Am I on the right screen? No. Newman. All right, let's get to this. There we go. Boom. That's interesting. The vol spike went over that 55, and then that was it, right? Interesting spot. That's very interesting. You got nothing to hear, man. Jeez, good Lord. Right there. There's going to be some massive moves over this. Crazy. No one believed them down here when they said they were making money on cars because they were making so much and they had so many lies before and no one believed them. That's really interesting. Take the peak from here and look at the undercut from the peak. How about from the open? There it is. Good Lord. I think you got room here. Let's clean that off. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Surprised retail or auto sales were that good. Wow, there's nothing here. That can't be right. There's nothing up here, man. There is nothing up here. You got this level that you battled with right in there. And then you have here. It's really interesting. I wonder what AutoNation's doing. All-time highs, really. It's so crazy because when I go and look at cars, I always look at cars. I love cars. And so I always go and look at them. And I'm just watching prices coming down and down and down. Maybe it's different sectors of the market. Maybe it's just like the low-end used car. I don't know. I don't know. I got to look into it. But it's really interesting. Really is. So, all right, good. Let's get to it. And we'll get into it. I think it's a really good number overall. It shows that the consumer is not in as bad shape as people think. So last quarter's was really good, or last month was really good. It's one of the things that helped us because it came out right around here. I'll show you. Pardon me. Where was it? Somewhere in here we had retail sales come out. And it was much better than, I can see if I can find the date and when it happened. It was much better than expected. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Millie's consensus. 15th. So it was this day that it came out and we exploded on retail sales. Got us through. They're buying stuff. It's crazy because the savings rate is dropping a lot. So, we'll have to see how this goes. But so the way to look at this number is if they cut rates 50 basis points, and if they don't cut 50 basis points now, it's going to be a disappointment. It still means the consumer is in good shape. And I think that's important. I'm going to take a bunch of questions today. I'm actually going to focus on that more than anything else. Let me just pull up some of this stuff so I know I'm on the right pages here. Yeah. Let me just check something here. Yeah, good luck with that today being short. Imagine betting against me. Like, why would you ever? What's the point? Seems futile. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta just do this. So let's go through this. This is kind of interesting. I guess I can explain it. Let's get rid of my 4,000 levels. Why is retail sales so important? When you go through and you do rate cuts, two things are going to happen, and you're not going to know for 3 months. And it's a really shaky time. The next 3 months are extremely shaky in the market. I know it's a pre-market, but we're going to do this. There are two things that happen when you start cutting rates. Okay, there are two schools of thought. Number one is you do this, right? And the reason that you do that, please stop. Hold on one second. Make sure I'm on the right screen. Make sure I'm not having a boomer moment. All right. So you'll do this if you're going to hit a recession. Okay. The other is that you do this because you have increased productivity, right? And you have a lower rate environment. So there are two things that happen. It takes a couple months for that to work itself out. You don't know until they start cutting. You just don't know which one you're going to get. So the idea that rate cuts are always bad is it's just not accurate. And I would just, suggest that you probably don't want to think that way. So, keep that in mind. I would not want to think that way. I don't think thinking that way is going to be optimal for people. I'll leave it at that, and we'll go from there. I don't think thinking that way is going to be optimal for people. I think you want to understand what's about to happen and realize that you don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen here. So I don't really view them as, I'm going to go through them again. Let's just see here. Minus autos. Yeah, retail sales did really, it did well. So it's the autos really that you should be focused on here. Let's go see here. So it's acting on it. They're acting fairly well here. All right, good. Let's take questions. Let's take a bunch of questions because I'm going to have to make sure that I wrap up on time today. What's up, Jay? Jay coming in first. Coming in at 4:30 a.m. Okay, Jay. Yeah, personally, I'm not a big fan of this kind of stuff. It's funny, like this guy quitting was like the best thing that ever happened to long-term investors that wanted to buy it cheap. It never came back from there. INTA. So let's go take a look at INTA. I actually think that looks pretty good. The other ones. I don't know enough about this company to talk intelligently. I can only tell you technically looking at a chart. You're coming into earnings. You've been up here before. You're kind of forming the W. You didn't break out of the W. You're sitting right at this core level where that last bastion is. And then you'd have to see, all right, so you're getting volume on the push. I don't know what they do. Do they do something similar to this? And that's people are looking for the next one. Is that what's going on there? I don't have an answer to that just yet. But that's kind of how I would look at it and, kind of go from there. But I don't have an answer to that. I don't know enough about it. But technically speaking, you got to get through this at this point. You rallied up, tried, you're trying again. You'd have to use the low of that bar if you really wanted to give it a shot, and see what it was going to do. LUMN, I've this buried in an account somewhere. Look, rallies, backfills, retest the area and holds. Like this is pretty textbook stuff for something that's trying to figure out what it's going to be when it grows up. Like, you see how you held right here? So you're in this range, right? And you're actually in the range of this one bar. You've only really closed under it twice. If you actually moved it to that bar and then you move the high of that bar, you can see and say, oh, this bar is in control, right? You would see what your control bar is, right? Like, because you broke out of it. And then what did they do here? They undercut, stole stock, right? Because everyone will have their stop there. And then they gap you down here and then they rip it up. So it's very clear you have a buyer down here at like 450. So if that ever goes away, you have a problem. It's also very clear that if you use that opening price right there, you can't close over it. So I would think it would be optimal to watch that level right there and see if you can close over that level. I'm sure you have some kind of volume there. No, none. That's actually not the worst thing because you're actually trading up and nobody's selling. So that is kind of interesting. What's up, John? I own Visor. I think Visor looks great. Flute. I don't trade AT&T, but I get it. And everyone's buying the dividend. And, you know, I'm not going to knock it. Go for it. If I was going to do this trade, it would be Verizon, right? It would be Verizon. That would make that makes more sense to me. But I'm not doing that trade. I get the Verizon idea. I don't get the AT&T, but they're buying the yield. I don't know how long the yield's going to be there. So it's certainly not, pardon me, something I'm comfortable with. But I would do Verizon, T-Mobile. You know, T-Mobile just keeps grinding, keeps throwing out money. I would do that one. They would be the two I would look at. I don't like AT&T. And I use AT&T. I have them as a carrier. I feel like I'm sitting in this hole. Do I drop this down? There you go. Not in the hole now. What else you got? Flute. That's way too thin for me. I do like the fact that you had no volume and now you have a ton of it. That is appealing, but I don't know enough about it. And I keep getting stopped up here. Like 5th time, 6 times the charm, 1, 2, 3, you know, you can even say here. Like, do I really want to do that? I mean, you kind of have the pattern, like you could, you know, it's getting tighter and then tighter. So yeah, you are working that off. I just don't know if I want to be that guy. APP is fascinating to me. I mean, for some reason, and then someone came out today, put like a 150 target on it, UBS. Like, oh yeah, we said 57, but we meant 150. I don't know. I had a position in this. I blew it out. I thought I did great. I made like $10 and I was like, oh, I'm proud of myself. I was like super smart. And then it just keeps going. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to say or do there, like with it. I mean, at this point, I would trade it. There's a bad day coming. I just don't know when. That's not sustainable. But you don't know when it's coming. You know, it's like this. Like, I'm not equating it to the same thing. I'm equating it to patterns. Like, you don't know when the bad day is coming, right? You get a $45 target price on the name, and then the next thing you know, you're down. So you just don't know, you know. But I mean, even here, like, look, everybody loved the name that one day, and then everybody had to get out. Now everybody's getting back in. This is crazy to me, by the way. Like, the move yesterday was absolutely insane. Look at the volume. It's absolutely, I'm actually short this, but which doesn't seem like it's going to go very well. But the thing about something like APP is like that will come to an end. I don't know when, and it's super thin, so it's going to be vicious when it does. I would pay attention to that very closely, and you know, go from there. So that's kind of how I would look at it. Let's keep this on the radar today and see how you do, and see how AN does too. Go back to this. Yay. But the APP, man, it's just been wild. Been a wild ride. Look, some of these names are just basing. And I think like this kind of stuff, like I'll show you how I see this. I've been watching it. I have not been talking about it. I don't know that these trades make as much sense as they once did because you're broadening out. The market in and of itself is completely, utterly broadening out, right? It just is. So if you look at something like this, you have this base, right? And if you just mark from there over, you have this little breakdown here, but everything else, like that's the only real spot that you have not been. I can actually show you how, like, if you think about it from this way with Meta, right? I'm glad we're doing questions. We haven't done questions like this in a long time. And someone said, okay, well, where's the base? Well, I mean, you look at that, and I'll change the color of it just so you can get where I'm going with this is like, okay, well, that everything since February has been in this range except this. So when you start to see that, I think it's more, of an issue. You guys are really going to want to watch IEP today. We're in significantly cheaper in the room, but you guys are probably going to want to put that on your radar. I've been looking at it, dude. I can't tell you how many times I bought Netflix and got flim-flammed in the past couple weeks. I mean, every time. And I get it. Like, it makes sense. They won. But I don't know that you want to be leaning into. See, I got to find, if anyone has this, drop it in the comments or in this room. I have to find a way to show you guys sectors. Like, I have my own sectors. And I got to find a way to do it. I have some sites that are like cheaper that allow me to do it. I have expensive sites that I do it on, but it doesn't make sense because then you guys can't see them. You know what I mean? And TradingView doesn't have a way to make your own sector, which is stupid. They should. Like, we take like 8 names and then it becomes like just a price point. But if you took the top 7, right, and then you took the underlying move of it, you would see something very different. Like, here, let me show you this. This guy created this thing. It's actually pretty good. All right. There's some things that I would do differently with it, but let me just see if I can pull this up real quick. There's some things I would do differently with it, but he did a really good job with this indicator. And this is the advanced decline line. So I'm going to show you the ADL here, watch. And then watch this NDX. And I'll make that white just to make it easy, and we'll blow it up. All right. And then watch this before we get into these names. All right. So I would go and look, and I went over this last night. I would go look at the NDX, right? And that's what you're looking at, the NDX right here. And then I would look at the advanced decline line. Do you see what's happening? Hopefully you can see this. But I go over in this last night's video. I'd watch last night's video. There's a lot in there, but a lot. See this? See it? So the breadth of the NASDAQ 100 is getting stronger. So do I really want to be playing the same 7 names I was just playing? I don't know that you do. That's where I'm going with this. And you can get this guy's thing. It's right here. ADL, NASDAQ, Bushi. But it's actually pretty good. There's some things I change about it, but probably just more from an aesthetic standpoint. But here, let's get rid of it. But the point that I'm getting at is, at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know that I want to commit to these, because the other areas that I'm putting money to work are outperforming this stuff right now. And this is what happens. You see a sense of rotation, right? And that's what we're getting. I'm getting that across the board. So I really think that's something for you to think about. I don't know that I'd want to play these names right now. I don't know that I want to be in them right now. I don't know that it makes sense. I think there's much better areas. I hope that makes sense, Luke. APD. I just like an EKG chart, dude. I can't do that. That's all over the place, man. MTB. Yeah, I think things like this are absolute home runs. I tried to buy this FCNCA the other day. It's actually holding now. I don't like any of these patterns. So I got out. I got out break even. JP Morgan, I'm out. I just don't like these patterns when they don't correct right away. I've got these long bars down. I just don't want to be in them. I'm very concerned about financials. So do I think some of them look better than others? Yeah, I do. NYCB, something like I always play around with. I have a position, but I think that there's names out there. I don't know how they're going to act tomorrow on the Fed. They might rip. That might be it. They might rip. I just didn't want the weakness. The weakness on Friday scared me because you're not bouncing the way you should in those names. BX, LII, BX. This one looks really good. Yeah, this looks really good. So I like this over Blackstone a lot, or over BlackRock a lot. This looks really good to me. This is just one you can just like buy and forget that you own. I mean, it just looks, it's just, there's nothing really to say about it. It just looks great. So, but if you look at something like, compare this to like BlackRock, you know, like I think Blackstone looks just so much better. It's just so much cleaner. They run their business better. Everything about them is better. So I think it is. Everyone's going to make their own decisions, but LII, I don't know. I don't know why this is doing what it's doing. Industrial, I guess. Probably why you're doing what you're doing, straight up. I mean, there's very little to say about these industrials, guys. Like some of these industrials work with me, not against me. You know, but daily, there you go. There's very little to say about these kinds of names. Like they're just monsters, absolute monsters, some of these names. Once that industrial move kicked over, some of these things just exploded. They never looked back. You know, you look at them, it's actually crazy. You know, it really is, but they've just done nothing but just keep moving. EME. I would need way more volume, but it does look good. I like Visa. I think that's going to break out today on that retail sales number. I think MA is going to do the same exact thing. AXP. They're all setting up to break out. Discover. Like they're all setting up, all of them, right? See, if the consumer's strong and you cut rates, it's going to be a good thing. So it's going to be a really good thing. And it's definitely something that you're going to want to watch. So, you know, keep that in mind. GE looks amazing, but like the Visas of the world, you know, MA looks better to me. But the Visas of the world, they all look great. Hold on one second here. GE looks great. You know, I don't know how many I want to add ahead of the Fed tomorrow. And this is where it gets tricky because like, look at Train, like it's the same thing. Like these names, they just bounced right off these levels and they're just ripping now. And I start looking at like CI and these other names. Hold on, CI, that scared me. And, you know, they're kind of rejecting up here to an extent, right? Which means they're not even buying these kinds of names. So I think that's, you know, really important to understand, you know. You know, I do. I think it's really important to kind of get. So let's keep going here and go from there. GEV2 looks great. What's up, Jacob? eBay. Just a monster, man. It's just an absolute monster. So I forget why it's doing what it's doing, but someone was explaining it to me. Why would you disconnect? I'm right here. Please stop with your nonsense. I mean, what a monster. Oh, they bought somebody. There was some reason why it was breaking out on earnings here. I forget what it was, but yeah, it just looks like a monster trade. I mean, I don't know. You're a little high for me here, like off of indexes, but I do like that name a lot. EWM. You know, did you see that Intel's canceling every other foreign facility? Germany, it's canceling. Poland, it's canceling. Like the facilities it's supposed to make foundries, they're supposed to put foundries there, and now they're going to cancel them. The one that they're going to keep, is this one. The one in Malaysia. I don't know why they're doing that, but I did find that interesting. I don't know enough about it. So really all you're going to look at for me is just technicals. And I don't think you're anywhere near something technically that I would go near. Hold on. Yeah, you're getting there. So we were just talking about this, like flipping a 200-week moving average. When you start to do that, like you haven't flipped it since back here in 14, it's been a decade. It's literally been 10 years since you've been above this. You might want to start paying attention to it. That might be something to pay attention to. Kind of go from there. So we'll see. But yeah, absolutely. I like that. I don't know that I need any more. Like I have so much international exposure through so many different things. So like, I don't know, man. I don't know how much more exposure I need on that. But I do like that a lot, actually. I would look at that. Someone brought that up in the room and they're right. Like when you look at these long-term charts and you start flipping 200-week moving averages, you want to pay attention. It's not common to do that, right? Like this took a decade to do that. So like, it's not a common thing to flip this. So you want to pay attention to it. Happy Tuesday. URI. Yep. So like names like this, they benefit so much from a weaker dollar. Just the industrial space, it's crazy. So I would imagine eventually you're setting up to break out. That's kind of where my head is with it. You're starting to get the above volume right here. I'm just watching something out of the corner of my eye. It's 9 o'clock already. Mother. So you can see right here, right? Like how that's going. So I do think that's something to pay attention to. I do. I like these names a lot. I'm leaning more towards the names that are tied to data centers in one way or another. I mean, you could make the argument that United Rental will be needed for data centers because you're going to need to rent, the equipment in order to manufacture them, right? So there is something about that. Allergies today for some reason. I usually don't get them in Miami. I think like when it's super humid, I do. Alta here, I think you're just betting right with, Warren. All he did was buy the bottom, and he's been buying it ever since. I mean, it's very clear that you have a buyer, and we know who it is. So the question becomes like, how do you do this trade? If I'm to look at this, like I don't really like buying stuff that's below like there, but I understand you have the buyer. So if you went here and you looked at it and said, okay, and you just looked at this, straight up. From here over, you've had 2 red days, right? And that's it. Even from here, you've never closed. Once you got over it, you never closed below that previous gap. So now you're at this one, right? And that gap down. And what you're starting to get is you're starting to get these island reversals that are in here. So you have this island and then you broke below it. And now you're breaking above it. So as soon as you get above this, like right here, and you don't know how much is there, you're probably going to push. So if you were to look at this like this, Lise, from here over, okay, like once you're through, this, you can say it, like it just starts to skew so much. So I would just use that and just saying, okay, like, and you can even see that from there, right? Like you see that right there. Like once you're through that, life gets really easy. And then you get into this junk. Maybe 400's an issue up here somewhere. What's up, Katie? Sats. Let's take a look at Sats. I'm going to have to jump here, guys. I don't know what this is. Is this another space phone? I don't know. There must be news or something. This thing's been going crazy. You must be, something's going on. A lot of volume. It's a lot of volume, call. It's okay. Well, they're getting a cut, so they're going to take it and they're going to like it. What's up, Eric? CLH. Where's your volume? Your volume fell off. You can't get above this bar. What's up, Bill? What's up, Steven? Well, you're just negative. Like, no matter what happens, it's bad. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you there. You got to figure out how it's going to go. What's up, Journal? Hi, Jeannie. I can't see any reason to own that. Please hit the like button. It does help greatly with the algorithm. I really like their truck. I have a really tough time here. I have a really tough time here telling you to buy any EV. I think these companies with the EVs are going to wind up like the markets, like even the high-end guys that are doing these hybrids. Nobody wants them. They don't want them. The problem with names like Rivian and Lucid is when you go look at the auto auctions, these things lose their value like no other car. Like it's absolutely crazy. Like the way the value of these things is dropping. You don't have the infrastructure for it. I think the infrastructure bill, I think they spent $8 billion to create like 10 of them or something. Like it's crazy. So it's just an absolute, disaster. I don't know. We're going back to gas. I think they're going to get rid of all of this stuff, to be honest with you. I think they're going to be around, but like I just don't think they're going to be anywhere near what we thought they were going to be. It really seems to be that way. So I really like that car a lot. But I think they're going to have problems. Good day from Australia. Good day from Miami. We're definitely heading choppy, but go through this. No, the short interest is 10 days to cover. I think it's very good news for CVNA. Yeah, I keep looking at that. I'm wondering that as well. It seems like the market's blowing that off, doesn't it? Like it just doesn't care. NASDAQ breadth is good. It's not great. NASDAQ 100 breadth is way better. New York Stock Exchange breadth is at highs. Yeah, I think it looks good. And oh, thanks, buddy. Yeah, the bonding. We're bonding. Not an issue. Just got to trade out of it. What's up, John? I don't know what's going on there. Good Lord. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, dude. I really don't. But I guarantee you flipped from here. Once these IPOs, once they start flipping that VWAP, that's it. And that's what they did here. Tried, failed, tried, something emphatic. You're going off of that. And then it was just on from there. Like every day it's just up. So it's pretty clear that you have 2 wicks right here. So you probably just want to watch that area, but it's a pretty interesting chart. I got to jump, guys. Trade to win.